Good morning. I thought I'd jump in this Saturday morning um, and kind of check in. I've been taking this time to do a commentary, kind of a morning reflection of what's been happening in the week here, course of the days as we move through this 30-day healing intensive with the Gangsta Grannies. And today, let's see, what was yesterday? Um, One of the Gangster Grannies went and got her teeth cleaned, doing some self care while she's here. Dr. Grace is quite delightful. Several of my visitors over the past few years have gone and done dental care while they're here, some minor, some major. Um, it's affordable. They're quite lovely to work with. It's easy to coordinate. I work with an office that speaks English. The staff, the doctors speak English, so it makes it easy to be able to communicate and have an understanding or an assurance that you have an understanding of what they're asking, what's happening. So I think she went and got her teeth cleaned and I don't know what all else. Had a little lunch, but she was out in the streets on her own, um, feeling free to move about the streets. So I was really excited about that and so super glad to see that she had no problems maneuvering in town. So um, that was great. And then what were we talking about yesterday? Um, Yesterday, one of the themes that came up was counting the cost. We spent a lot of time, especially in this step, looking at the losses. Good morning. I think that's Latisse. Good morning. We spent a lot of time in this process, especially step two, counting the cost of the experiences that life has given us. You know, what has life served up for us and what is this going to cost us? What has it already cost us? In some cases, what is it continuing to cost us? And we talked about that. We've been talking about that every day as we go through healing cycle with step two. But yesterday we talked about the cost of, excuse me, choosing actions that align with your values. And that kind of caused a little pause. Well, why should I do that? Well, even understanding that choosing actions that align with your values have a cost also. Um, every choice has a cost. Just because it aligns with your values doesn't mean it may not have a cost. It may not have a loss. And as we talked yesterday morning, before our Sankofa Circle time, really going there and examining the cost of choosing your values. Yesterday's post that Weta put up, she talked about some of the struggle of choosing the behaviors that really align with your values. I'm working on a mandala on my table, so you see me moving back and forth, moving petals and stuff. Since I'm sitting here, it caught my attention. Um, but just here's what I know aligns with my value. I've caught myself. I haven't just gone into the behavior. I haven't just rushed into the behavior. I'm feeling some fear. I'm feeling some anxiety. And knowing that that may be a product of our unhealed areas. Our unhealed areas are wanting us to respond in these ways that oftentimes have become our habit, our first nature. I respond by withdrawing. I respond by not speaking what I really mean. And choosing an alternative path is, if you were being honest, if I'm being totally honest, how would you respond? If I want support, I'd ask for it. Or I'd let people know that I'm in a situation where support might be beneficial for me. Well, that would require you speaking those needs. That would require you not assuming that others are going to read your mind and know what your needs are and then respond. And we talked about what happens when you choose the other option. I'm not going to reach for my usual withdrawal. I'm not going to reach for my usual silence. I'm going to speak up. And we talked about that having a cost as well. What's the cost? I have to be willing to be uncomfortable. This new nature that I'm trying to create in my life, a nature that doesn't harm me, is uncomfortable. And I talked about, when you start exercising, you're doing it because you, in some way, on some levels, feel it's good to you. It's good for you. But sometimes it's not good to you yet. It hurts. It's painful. And the pain may not subside when you stop the exercises. You wake up tomorrow and you feel the pain of that decision. But it's good for me. Yeah, but sometimes doing what's good for you doesn't feel good to you, especially if it hasn't become your habit. It hasn't become your first nature. And so we talked about the cost. What happens if you are not willing to be uncomfortable? I don't want to be uncomfortable. Healing might be a problem. I don't want to feel strong emotions. Healing might be a problem. Part of this process is learning to sit with those strong emotions, because in learning to sit with those strong emotions, just like exercising, your capacity increases. I can sit with these strong emotions. I'm not as afraid of these strong emotions when I do it, when I sit with them, and I feel better. When I have the ugly cry and I feel better for having that flow through me, and then I can release it finally out of my body. Dance it out, sing it out, walk it out. Take a nap, let it subside in whatever ways it needs to, but leave this body. And when I do that, I realize I can do it, and it's not as difficult in the same ways, even if it's strong emotions, intense emotions. And so understanding the cost of choosing in alignment with your values is also a part of counting the cost of the choices we make in life and being willing to accept the cost. I'm willing to be uncomfortable because I recognize that not speaking my mind actually hurts me. Oh, it's comfortable. I've gotten comfortable with speaking, with my silence. I've gotten comfortable with my withdrawal. And the reality is it creates an atrophy. I'm less able to push myself into those spaces that may be good for me, but not yet feel good to me. And that really is, as we were having this conversation, I realized that really is an important piece of this. Because so often we live in a society where we have lots of ways to avoid the symptoms. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel unhappy. Isn't there a pill that I can take that makes me not feel unhappy? Makes me feel upbeat and alive? Isn't there some medicine I can take to get rid of these symptoms? Yeah. It's because I ate some stuff. I ate it, and it's causing some dis-ease or some discomfort in my body. My systems aren't working at optimum level, but I don't want to actually do anything. I remember a conversation with my mother one time. We were wrestling with health. I happened to have been there helping to support her when she had her first knee replacement. And I remember, like, I'm trying to cook food that's going to be healing and nourishing. And my mother was battling with, I think, like diabetes and other health-related issues, high blood pressure and diabetes. A lot of things that probably were typical to the diet that she was eating. And I remember her telling me one morning, I take the medicine so I can eat the sweet roll and hot chocolate. And I remember that just crushing me, like, you're eating healthy and it's working. Some of the weight is coming off. But it was just give me the medicine. I want to do what I want to do. And we have choice. It took the wind out of me in a judgmental kind of way. I was making a judgment. But the reality was the medicine helped to avoid the symptoms that were created by the choices in life. And the mindset that we have, sometimes in medicine, it's not about healing. Sometimes it's about fixing the symptoms, curing the symptoms, getting rid of the symptoms. And health doesn't really take place. The symptoms are gone, so I can continue to function in life. But I haven't really done a whole lot to move me to a better place in wellness. If I stop taking the medicine, the symptoms are still there. It's just masking that sometimes. And really challenging your values around healing brings up some of those things. How do you expect healing to take place? Do you expect to have to do the work of healing? The ladies both have agreed that healing is work. It's taken a lot of energy. It's uncomfortable work. And so yesterday we talked about your value, about healing, about discomfort. If the values, the expectations in life are to avoid discomfort, I don't want to have anything change. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. Then healing might be way more challenging. It may not be something that you achieve deeply. Maybe there's a way around it. I don't know. My experience has been that healing requires going to those places that you don't want to go. And those places may be dark. And the emotions surrounding the incidents in our life may be painful. This process doesn't avoid that, doesn't sidestep that reality. This process starts with commitment. Do you want freedom? That was the resolve that came out of yesterday's conversation. I came here so that I don't have to go home with this stuff. One of the ladies shared about how much energy it took to even make that decision, pull away from the old behavior and try this new behavior out that aligns more closely with her values. But how much energy had swirled around pulling away from that old pattern and being willing to say, I don't want to continue to use my life energy battling myself. Leticia, here this morning, that song, Down by the Riverside, has come up again. It's been a theme this summer about studying war no more. We're not going to continue to study this war within ourselves. I'm not going home and continuing to put the energy into having these battles, having the battle with doing the thing that's going to traumatize me. I'm not going to keep fighting myself. Instead, I'm going to choose the things that give me freedom more and more. I'm going to pay the price for this thing that's going to give me freedom. It still had a cost. And as she sat down and wrote the cost, this is what this cost me. It forces me outside of my comfort zone. It forced me to feel discomfort, the tension. It forced me to acknowledge my insecurities that I was feeling, to acknowledge my fears. It forced me to speak my truth. And then being willing to pay that cost. I will pay the cost of being uncomfortable. I will pay the cost of the discomfort that making this choice creates for me. And then realizing, yes, there's a cost, but the gift is freedom. And I think that's what the ladies are seeing this month. The gift at the end of the payment, the yappas that happen, is freedom. That I've said what's true. In a case earlier this week, I've said I needed support in this particular way. My old behavior would have been to say, there's nobody that's going to support me. There's nobody that's willing to support me. There's nobody that will support me. And by pushing that envelope, by challenging that belief and choosing the action, intentionally choosing the action that aligned with the belief, there was support. There was generous support. It dispelled the things, the tapes that we say, because oftentimes they're real, but they're not true. I'm the one that's got to do it because nobody's going to do it. In life, in passion work, I've got to do this healing work because nobody else is going to do it the way I do it. That's a lie. It's a part truth. Nobody's going to do it the way that LaRahna does it, but that doesn't mean the work doesn't get done, that the work can't get done. Those are the lies that we tell ourselves, and this process says, what's the facts? The facts are there might be support. Now, there's some people that may not support me, but there's support out there. There are people that are willing to support me. And if they knew I needed support, they might be a part of the solutions that I need, or at least that I want. And so the cost of healing. We talked a little bit more too about the cost. The cost of healing is wherever you were when you left and came here, you're going to be at a different place when you go back. And that may change some things. It may change some relationships. It may change the way that you interact with people. It may change the involvements that you have. It may change some things. Some things may become intolerable as you change. The cost of healing is you may outgrow some places, some situations in your life. And that's real. But I don't want to lose the people in my circle. What happens if the people in your circle are part of keeping you from freedom? There's no right or wrong. A lot of people stay. I don't want the change. These are my people. I don't want to change that. I don't want to change how we interact. What if the ways that you interact are not helping you or are harming you? Are you willing to let go of some of the people or situations in your life for the sake of greater freedom? And there's no right or wrong. Some days it's not today. Not today. And other days it becomes your non-negotiable. One of the ladies had a going away party, a virtual going away party, and I dropped in. And I told her yesterday, I told your people. I was honest with your people. I told them when she comes back, she's going to be changed. Have patience, have grace with her, but ask her about her healing process. Ask her why these changes are happening, why the boundaries in her life might be changing, why her behavior might be changing. Ask her, support her. She's coming for healing. Support the changes that support her healing. But you have been warned she's going to change. As you heal, you change. Can't help it. It just happens. And some of the places and people and the relationships, the boundaries you used to have, the behaviors you used to have may change in the direction of freedom, but still there may be change and there may be a cost. It may cost some relationships. It may cost some boundary changes in your life, and others may not be happy about the boundaries. If you've been the person that's been the solution for everybody's stuff, and you begin to evaluate your responsibilities and choices about the things that you choose to be responsible for outside of yourself, there may be changes in the dynamics of your relationships. This process doesn't fix that. It simply provides tools for you to be able to count the cost. And in counting the cost, you can make better choices for your life. And it's not better, it's choices with fuller disclosure. Full disclosure, I know what this situation is going to cost me, and I'm choosing to engage in this way in life, in community. I've counted the cost as much as I can calculate, and I've made the choice to participate. I've made the choice to be in this interaction, have this point of connection with these people in my life. I am choosing life, and I'm doing it with as full of disclosure as I can to myself of what it's going to cost me. I'm not at the economic level that I can go shopping to a lot of places if I'm doing big spending and not ask, what does this cost? How much does this cost? Before I say yes, what's the price? Yet in life for so many years, I did. I never calculated the cost. Matter of fact, I didn't calculate the cost till I was exhausted. And then I couldn't figure out why I was so exhausted. Hadn't counted all of the emotional outputs that I was giving in life in so many different ways. This has given me the capacity to do a better job of counting the cost. LaRahna, I want you to, oh, that's nice. I'm okay with you wanting it. Let me count the cost for me. Let me see what that's going to cost me. Am I willing to pay that price? Sometimes it's yes, and a lot of times it's no. I'm not willing to pay the price for that thing that you want me to do that I'm not responsible for doing. It's too expensive, emotionally, physically. Someone recently asked me to come speak in the United States, and I said, I'm not willing to pay the price. Too many hours of travel, too much emotional energy making that thing, and coming back to the United States takes a whole lot more energy than I live with these days. I don't spend that much energy on just doing life, just try to find something to eat these days. Too expensive. I'm sorry. And they says, well, will you speak if we do it by video? Absolutely. I can pay that price. I can sit at home and turn on my computer and talk to you. Absolutely. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to pay that price. Even though I may have wanted to participate. It's a friend, client from way back, become friend. I want to participate, but I'm not willing to pay that price. Too expensive. Too expensive for my budget. My emotional budget. Too expensive. But being able to understand that for myself has helped me to set better boundaries. Might have been a time that my ego would have said, well, they need me to come talk. I should probably figure out how to do it, maybe. And all the way on the inside, my inside is saying, no, we don't want to do it. We don't want to. We don't want to. And so equipping tools. This work, the social tech work, is about tools for social sustainability. How can we be sustainable? And are these tools appropriate for the new paradigm? The new paradigm is saying, live your truth. Live your truth. Live your truth. Be able to count the cost so that your truth is accurate. Do I really want to do this? If it costs this to me, what's it going to cost? This conflicts with your values. It's going to traumatize you. Am I willing to participate in this engagement, to have this point of contact if it's going to cost me this? Nope. Nope. And sometimes it's yes. There's some people that I would sacrifice for. If one of my children had a need that I felt I could meet and it required me to go back to the States, I'd go. I would count the cost up and I'd have a talk with myself about don't be salty when you go. Get your attitude together. Get your attitude together. Don't have a bad attitude when you go to the grocery store and be fussing all day about how much the food costs and how unripe it is. Get yourself together, which is what I had to do on this last trip. My first grandchild's graduation from high school. I'm going. I had to pay for an extra flight that I hadn't expected because I missed the flight. And they just say, buy another ticket. And I thought for a half a second, and I said, what you going to do? Ain't no you spending no energy on fussing about it. You going to buy the ticket. You going. You going. Pay the people the money. Pay them their money. Swipe this plastic. Pay the money. Whatever the cost was, I was going to go. What did it cost me? A whole lot of money above and beyond what I normally spend, Relatively speaking, maybe it wasn't, but to me, it was a whole lot of money. I wasn't feeling good for about 2 weeks afterwards. I had an allergy attack the whole time I was there. My body was hurting. It was a whole lot. It was a heavy cost. It took me 2 weeks to get myself back together, get my mind back in the game of life. I was willing to pay that price. Was there a win? Absolutely. Being there was the win at whatever cost. Whatever it had cost me, it was going to be a win because that outweighed the cost. It outweighed the trauma that created for me. The physical trauma was the main part of it. but in life, being able to have tools so that we can make better choices, make better commitments is what this is about. These are tools for how we can be socially sustainable into this new paradigm that's taking us out of the fake it till you make it era. This is the live it. Can you live your truth? And the answer is more and more, more and more. So counting the cost, that's where we've been at. I just stop in the mornings and try to do a quick commentary, kind of refocus myself on where we've been, what's the journey been like in real time, because so much happens in the course of the month that they're here. I knew I couldn't try to hold it all and try to figure out what we had talked about and what we were doing, but just giving me the time to kind of ramble off in the morning on what we've kind of reflected on the day before. So that's where we're at. I'm excited about the work that they're doing. Let me share some of the other tidbits. I'm not so mindful of the marketing, but I should be a little more mindful, maybe. I want to be a little more mindful. Ain't no should, but I want to be a little more mindful. So if you're interested in more information about our healing work, you can visit the website for the International Welcome Center. You get there by going to globalundergroundrailroad.com. globalundergroundrailroad.com. If you want more information about some of the bigger picture, some of the collaborative work, and some of the philosophy about social tech, go to the collaborative page, nowastedtime.com. On that page, the nowastedtime.com, there's a bunch of information. There's probably 4 or 5 editions of the Village Builder digital magazine with some articles about some of the philosophy about sustainable community and about healing. Some of the bigger pictures about community, some of the details about some of the physical community projects that are in motion in various stages. They're in slow motion because I'm retired and we don't have a team yet that I want to be a part of that. But there's also some resources. There's some links to some free resources, some videos. There's links to the books. Revolution Must Come to Our House, Our Home is one of the first books in the social tech series. And so if you want information about these healing tools, part 4 of this book, part of it, Cash the Vision, it's a vision book about the vision for this work, but also part 4 of this book really takes you through the healing steps. There's links to videos about that. And you can book retreats. There's inquiry forms on the website, the Global Underground Railroad website, but we also have a healing vacation retreat planned for November. It's going to be November 6th through the 13th in Kitale, Kenya, the Soul Safari, and I'm super excited about that. We want the spaces filled. We want people to come heal together with us, but we also want them to come heal together with us in Kenya because that helps us provide the opportunity and some scholarships to be able to cover the costs for African leaders from 4 of the countries surrounding Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania, I think, is where I've been told that the leaders are coming from. And so this helps us to be able to support this work in Africa and truly do healing together in a much more global sense. And so we want you to participate. Get your deposit. The deposit is $500, but that lets us know that we've got those spots accounted for. You have until the 5th of October to finish paying the balance of the cost. Healing Vacation Retreats cost $2,500. It's all inclusive, and it doesn't matter whether you do it here in Cuenca or in Kenya. We want you to come and participate. Yeah, what else? Stuff. Go to the website. There's stuff. There's different training opportunities. All of it starts with healing. It's a healing first modality that says we first do healing because that makes the other work easier, the work of us working together to heal community. If you are connected or feel called to connect with this work in a philosophical way, but in a physical way, reach out. Yeah, we want your help in sharing this movement of healing first in whatever ways you feel called to give your goodness to life. So this is about healing so that we can connect with our purpose and our passions. And if our passions have points of connection, to be able to socially work together and create goodness in the world. So yeah, I think that's in the name of marketing. Boom, there it is. Thanks for letting me share and ramble this morning. My hope is that you too are embracing a healing first lifestyle, that you are considering the changes that can happen in your life and what gets freed up in your life by doing that, by really committing to healing first. That's all I got this morning. I'm going to get off because if not, I'll be rambling about who knows what. So live life fully today. Thanks for joining me. Have a great weekend. Bye.